Some time ago, I made a video, I think it was entitled Two Great Semi-Autos, something like that. And we looked at the Remington 742 and we looked at the Browning bar. And that video resulted in some of the best comments and very strong opinions from people, primarily about the Remington 742. And I still remember people writing that it's total junk and it should be thrown in lakes and just all kinds of comments, a jam-o-matic and so forth. And I actually spoke favorably about the 742 in that original video because my experiences with the 742 have been very good. This is a 308 model. I think I wrote to some of you that I have a 6mm, I had a 280, and I guess there's some great luck that follows me around because I keep them lubricated. I use that Ballistol on the 742. Remington sold over 1 million of these rifles. These are very inexpensive. I think partly because of this rumor that they're so bad. And quite a few people wrote about chatter, and over time I've had several guns come in from friends and elsewhere that did have the chatter. When you tried to pull the bolt back, the bolt would sort of seize up right around here. It would stick. Naturally, I took them all apart and I could see burrs and damage on the top of the receiver. And it puzzled me for a long time. It still puzzles me. What went on to cause that? On mine, nothing. Hundreds of rounds of 308, because they're so inexpensive. You could buy a 742 for $200 or $300 in really good shape. And if you want a semi-auto rifle, and you don't want to use it as if it's an AK, I don't dispute if you are firing, a lot, then maybe something will go wrong. But I didn't ever have anything like that happen. Anyway, that's not a lecture from me, other than maybe if you're starting to have trouble, or if you want to not have trouble, just spray the action with Rem oil. As you know, I'm stuck on that German Ballistol stuff, and they just keep running. And people talk about a maximum life of 500 rounds. Not this one, I have another one. My favorite version is a carbine version of the 742, and I must have fired, my goodness, well, at least 1,000 rounds through that thing. And all that happened was the action became really slick, so it's easier to open. Maybe some of the springs have relaxed, but it still functions perfectly. So that's my comment on the 742. And some of you were writing me just this year that you went deer hunting and used the 742, so it can't be all bad. Anyway, that's just a footnote. And I didn't re-watch that video before making this one, but I think I talked about both semi-autos. And we could have a Benelli Argo on the table, and the H&K made a sporting semi-auto. I've got one of those in storage. But then I thought, well, instead of talking about all these guns, I'll talk about my favorite semi-auto. And this one, maybe a lot of you have never seen. This is the Remington Model 8. This is from the turn of the century. And you know me by now, I'm not running to the range and firing this thing till the barrel melts or something else gives way. I like using guns so they don't self-destruct. But this is in .35 Remington, just a fantastic piece of engineering. If the barrel looks thick, for those of you that don't know, the recoil forces of the .35 Remington are significant. And in order to handle those recoil forces, John Browning utilized a spring. So that what you're looking at here is just a shroud, like the 1888 Mauser. I hope that I have the model correct. So there's a spring in here, and the barrel is here actually. So we'll open the action, and this barrel moves backward. You can hear it. And on firing, it moves a lot more than that, and causes the bolt to move backwards. And this in turn compresses a spring in here. So, similar to modern semi-automatics in some ways, but there's no gas being bled off the barrel anywhere. And then if there were rounds in the magazine and I repeated the sequence that I just described, this would fly forward, and I caused that by pushing the bolt release there. And probably somebody's going to write me how many rounds this holds, and I think it's 5 rounds. Does it jam? Well, this one doesn't jam. I actually took it out and fired 3 rounds for, or whatever I fired on Patreon, and it had a failure to eject on one of the brass just because it was dusty and dry. I was out in a hunting situation, but if you keep it clean, which is easy to do in most hunting situations, it's fantastic. If you're buying one of these, this is an exceptional rifle. I'll show you how excellent it is. This butt plate, normally when you see these, the butt plates are all chewed up because the people really hunted with these. They were very popular. I don't know how many were made, but it's not easy to find one in this condition. And before I forget, next week sometime, I hope to make a video also based on your requests on the Winchester 351. You were asking me to look at the 35 and the 351 and the 401, and sorry, I can't find a 401. Well, I can, but the guy wants $2,000 for it or something. And so I have a 351, and the Winchester solution was quite different from the Remington Browning solution. They use mass, breech block mass, just like a great big 22. They use the mass of the bolt to offset the inertia of the bolt, and the barrel is fixed. I won't burden you with taking apart this thing, but it's very easy. You spin the swivel, this comes off, you spin a key underneath this forend, and these 2 units come apart, and reassembly is precise, and sighting in is not changed. Sometimes you'll run into these with a lot of holes in the receiver as people try to install scopes, offset scopes. I'd try to find one in 35 Remington. You can probably find one in 30 Remington. I had one in 25 Remington, but then it's hard to find that ammo, so I sold that one. Just 35 is a great cartridge, and actually next time I go hunting, which might be in a week or 2, I'll see how my time goes. I'll take this out, and I'm not after a 500-yard challenge or something. This will easily work out to 200 yards, and I know it will because I've practiced at that range. So with 2 or 3 shots or more, you're in good shape. So that's something I thought I should show you because you don't see them every day and they're getting hard to see anywhere. And again, I always think of the younger shooters. This is a fantastic gun. It's unique. Some people that visited over the years told me that somewhere along the line this was used in that whole epic story involving Bonnie and Clyde, and you can read about that. And there were police versions that had removable magazines. This is a fixed magazine, and in fact I was offered one of those, and it had a very unusual mechanism. It looked like it was aftermarket. I'm sure it worked, but I thought I'd just as soon stick with the factory version because there are a lot of guns with removable magazines. I don't need to have one of these in that format. That's about it. Remarkable rifle. I think they should make these again. I think they'd be surprised. People would buy them, and they're not inexpensive. They're very hard to find, but I think every good gun collection should have one of these. It's an American legend, and kind of a standalone great semi-automatic, which is why it remains my favorite. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.